All right, guys, this looks like it's going to be a clone fragrance today of a widely popular fragrance highlighting the note of iris. And we're going to see if it stacks up to the original. Strap up. We're going for a ride. All right. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. I believe this is from Fragrance World, and this is Genuine Man Reserve. Shout outs to Gator for the sample. Initial thoughts. Let's just get right into it, guys. Come on. You know I'm not trying to waste anybody's time here. We got bills to pay. We're all grown here. Is this a good clone of Gentleman Reserve Privée from Givenchy? We're going to find out. So it says Genuine Man Giovanni Reserve on the bottle, but it says Fragrance World Genuine Man Reserve for Man on Fragrance By. I wish I could pull up the notes here, but seductive, sweet, spicy iris is basically all you need to know. I can tell you that because I'm very familiar with this. And it is pretty good. It's more of it's smooth and harsh. It has kind of more of the dusty iris Dior Homme Parfum feel as far as how the iris is treated. It's somewhere between smooth and harsh. Harsh isn't always a bad thing, especially with iris being the difference between Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense. You kind of know what we're talking about when we say the difference between dusty and powdery iris. One iris is more powdery, dense, clean, baby powdery. One is more kind of makes your nose hair stand up a little bit. It's dusted. I like to say slightly harsh. But yeah, I mean, it's there. I think it's a little less. The synthetic is there in terms of it feeling a little less robust as a fragrance in the line of that. This is like ultra fresh. It still has that spicy, sweet seduction, but it leans heavy on the dusted iris, and it's not perfectly balanced with the kind of backbone of woody, spices, sweetness, that type of vibe, which I think it needs because it ramps up on the seduction, whereas this kind of is more of a fresher take on this DNA, but it's pretty much there. I would call this like a 85% closeness, maybe even at 80%, because what they've done with the 20% is kind of just taking it in a slightly different, more fresh aromatic vibe, but it still looks like you're going to get all the performance that you want. This fragrance is running about 25 to 35 bucks, and it's actually really nice. I'm going to grab a couple of other fragrances that I want to talk about, and we'll do a separate episode on this later, but I think it is relevant to talk about. One of the things you want to consider when you're messing with anything like Gary's Den or Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, Gentleman Reserve Privée, Valentino Uomo, stuff like that, is I think there's some very compelling clones on the market that we have to consider that really it just comes down to what do you prefer? Because these are all quality clones here. So obviously when it comes to Dior Homme Parfum, I think Gary's Den is just one of a kind. It's a slight twist, but what they've done with it is almost similar to what Assad has done with Elixir, Dior Sauvage Elixir, where it's ramped more on the vanillic type of vibe. But here's a clone. This is Valencia Uomo Intense, and it is an absolute phenomenal rendition of Valentino Uomo. Here is one from, and again, this fragrance cost me about $10. Here's another $10 fragrance from the house of Privée, and it is an Illusion Intense, which is a Dior Homme Intense 2020 rendition, powdery iris, very compelling as well, also $10. In the $20 range, we have something like a Cayenne Classic, which is, I believe, Dior Homme Intense powdery iris as well, which is also very compelling. I think these two are pretty much the same fragrance. It's crazy that you can actually go even cheaper with the Privée fragrance. And these are both, I think, almost completely identical. But then when we come to Gentleman Reserve Privée from Givenchy, this is called Genius Gentleman. And it is very close as well. Let's see it comparatively to Fragrance World. See, Fragrance World really ramps up the aromatic, fresh, clean side of the dusty iris, seductive, sweet, spicy combo. Whereas this, I feel, I'm actually going to just spray this in the cap, kind of Jeremy fragrance style. This is toned down to be more on that seductive, spicy, sweet, perfect balance. So this is going more true to the DNA, I feel, but it is slightly fresher. Which, you know, this is another $10 fragrance. All of these are 100 ml. So when it comes to a fragrance like this, I think, as crazy it is to say, it is an overspend for this DNA because there's so many clones that are even south of the $15 price point that have absolutely nailed it. Doesn't matter whether you're going for Valentino, DHI, DHP, Reserve Privée, they're all phenomenal renditions, and really it just comes to a preference battle, which we'll talk about on a later video. This is okay, but again, in terms of closeness to DNA, I give it about an 8 out of 10, 80% closeness with a twist in the fresh aromatic direction. I would normally pull this up on Fragrantica, but I do believe that this might be a 2024 release. So Fragrantica doesn't seem to show it. That's why I've kind of been more on the main screen, which we can come back out. Do I think you should buy this fragrance? No. This fragrance is better, and it's a little more than half the price cheaper than even something like Fragrance World's fragrance. They've done a good job. It's not the best job. I think they could have done better. But it is compelling enough to purchase if you can't find something like this. This was a rack store TJ Maxx find. I had never seen it until like 1 month out of the year. So in that regard, it might be compelling if you're chasing that DNA. But, you know, stuff like Cayenne Classic, Gary's Den, those you're going to find all day long. Now, those aren't necessarily Gentleman Reserve Privée, but, you know, it really becomes redundant, I feel, unless you're an iris lover. I think it does become redundant to have Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, Gentleman Reserve Privée, Valentino Uomo Intense. But me, I'm a lover of iris, so I'm going to have all of them, all the way down to Blue Narcisse or whatever from Rodriguez. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Again, I think this fragrance is probably very average, 7 out of 10 for me. It's a any season, any reason fragrance. It's a 4 to 5 spray killer, 10 plus hours of performance. This is a seductive date night fragrance. I really don't think you can dress it casual. This is semi-formal. I don't think you can go up to formal with this, especially since it has some synthetics to it. Maybe if I was really dealing with Reserve Privée, you might be able to get away with like 2 sprays going formal, very circumstantially formal though. You wouldn't wear this to like a funeral or a super serious occasion. But I think it sits on that date night and some other semi-formal occasions, you know, theater, cigar lounge, going to the club, going to the bar, that type of vibe. I think it's definitely a cold weather fragrance. It's not a any season, any reason type of vibe. And I think it's north of 25 in terms of the age where you would start rocking a fragrance like this. Let me know in the comments if you guys have this, if you carry an alternative, if you like the originals, where you wear these fragrances, and if you've come across a lot of these. Because most people know about Gary's Den and Cayenne Classic and even... what's the other clone? There's a lot of them. But most people have come across those, but I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this Valencia Uomo, this Genius Gentleman, and this Privée Illusion Intense. I think Camaro Homme Intense is another DHI or DHP knockoff that's very good as well. Sits in the $20 to $30 price point. So let me know how y'all are wrestling with these fragrances, what you have and how you're wearing them. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can hear all of the latest and greatest, because we are posting a lot. and we're doing it for you guys. So with that being said, be blessed. We just did a review of Fragrance World Genuine Man Reserved for Man, and 7 out of 10 average. I don't recommend it. I think there's a ton of other bangers in that DNA and the same DNA. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Peace.